Walking through the streets of Nagoya, a city where the air smells of steel and tradition, I found a workshop that had no luminous signs or strident advertising. There, an old man named Kenji worked on an engine that, according to the odometer, had surpassed 500,000 kilometers. What left me breathless was not the figure, but the sound. It was a rhythmic whisper, a symphony of metal so perfect that it seemed the car had just come off the Toyota assembly line that same morning. How was it possible? The response of Kenji was simple but profound. You in the West clean when the engine fails. We in Japan do not allow the engine to forget how to be clean. This is the concept of Kaizen applied to the fuel. It is not about an emergency repair, but about a continuous improvement and a preservation of the purity. While in the rest of the world we have accustomed ourselves to the conventional workshop lie, that assures you that the only solution to a clogged injector is to pay $500 for an aggressive disassembly and an ultrasonic cleaning that sometimes weakens the internal seals, in Japan there exists an alternative way. A way that uses physics, medical-grade chemistry and discipline so that you yourself, in your garage and with Nipponese precision, return life to your injection system. Prepare yourself, because what you are going to discover today is not just mechanics, it is a form of art that will save your engine and your pocket. These are the 20 tricks of the Japanese method for cleaning the injectors. Number 20. The controlled thermal cycle method. In the Japanese precision engineering, it is understood that the injector is not just a tube, it is a component that breathes with the temperature. The number 20 of our list is the controlled thermal cycle method, a technique based on the differential dilation of materials. Modern injectors are constructed with a mixture of metallic alloys and high-resistance ceramics. The problem is that the residues of the combustion, known as varnishes, have a coefficient of thermal expansion very different from that of the metal of the injector. This method consists in inducing micro-fractures in the crust of dirt through abrupt changes of internal temperature. To execute it with Nipponese precision, we must bring the engine to its ideal functioning temperature, usually between 90 and 95 degrees centigrade, performing a sustained driving at medium revolutions. Once this point is reached, the car is parked and turned off suddenly. In that moment, a phenomenon called thermal soak occurs. Upon stopping the circulation of coolant and oil, the internal temperature of the injector rises slightly due to the latent heat of the engine block. After 30 minutes of this thermal rest, the engine is started again and is subjected to a flow of fresh air through smooth driving. This contrast makes the metal of the injector contract and expand, while the deposited carbon, being rigid and brittle, starts to flake off. It is a cleaning by fatigue of material. The mechanics in Japan perform this cycle 3 or 4 times before applying any chemical, ensuring that the dirt is sufficiently loose to be expelled by the fuel itself. It is the art of using physics in your favor without spending a single yen, but it is only the prelude to the true alchemy that you will see in the next position. Number 19. The medical-grade polyethyramine, P, additive. If the previous method was the physical preparation, the number 19 is the definitive chemical intervention. In the market, there exist hundreds of bottles that promise to clean injectors, but the majority are simply cheap solvents based on kerosene that only serve to dry out the O-rings of your engine. The Japanese experts only trust in one compound, polyethyramine, known technically as PEA. This is not a common detergent, it is a molecule designed to survive the extreme temperatures of the combustion chamber. Unlike the conventional cleaners that evaporate before doing their job, the PEA has the capacity to travel through all the injection system, survive the heat of the tip of the injector, and continue cleaning even the deposits on the head of the piston and the intake valves. In Japan, one does not pour just any additive. One looks for a specific concentration of medical grade. The trick here is the proportion. Pouring a complete bottle into a full tank is the mistake of the novice. The Japanese method suggests leaving the tank at 1/3 of its capacity, adding the PEA concentrate and letting the chemistry work in a saturated mixture during at least 20 minutes of idling. This process allows the PEA to soften the hardest deposits, converting the solid carbon into a sludge that can be burned in a safe form. It is like performing a deep dental cleaning to the teeth of your engine. However, this chemical is so potent that if it is left too much time in a very dirty system, it could detach large pieces that clog the micro mesh of the injector. For that reason, the Japanese discipline dictates that after this treatment, it is obligatory to perform the physical purge that we detail in the next method. Chemistry without movement is only an empty promise. Number 18. Technique of high-load purge on highway. Once we have weakened the dirt with thermal cycles and we have softened it with PEA, we need a mechanical force that expels it. The number 18 is the high-load purge technique, poorly called by some the Italian tune-up, but perfected under the Japanese methodology of the critical temperature. It is not about driving fast, but about generating engine load. The objective is to reach what the engineers call self-cleaning temperature. This occurs when the flow of exhaust gases and the pressure in the injection rail are sufficiently high as to generate a pneumatic sweeping effect. To do it correctly, you must take the car to a highway and, in a lower gear than the habitual one, for example, 4th gear instead of 6th, maintain the revolutions constant in the range of the 4,000 to 4,500 turns during at least 40 kilometers. At this rhythm, the velocity of the fuel that passes through the orifices of the injector is so high that it acts like a high-pressure washer at a microscale. Any residue that has been softened by the PEA is literally ripped away by the pressure. In addition, the heat generated at the tips of the injectors burns the remains of varnish that have stayed stuck. It is vital to maintain constancy. It serves for nothing to give abrupt accelerations. Constancy is what allows the system to stabilize thermally and the cleaning to be uniform. Upon finishing this journey, you will notice that the engine sounds more round and the response to the accelerator is immediate. But careful, it serves for nothing to clean the injector if the fuel tank continues being a source of sediments, and there is where the next trick will blow your head. Number 17. Tank vacuum cleaning. The number 17 is a method that challenges the survival instinct of any driver, but it is a common practice among the Japanese tuners who look for absolute purity. Many believe that it is always good to carry the tank full to avoid condensation, but when it is about cleaning injectors, the excess of fuel is a diluting agent that weakens the additives. The tank vacuum cleaning consists in taking the car to the limit of its fuel reserve when barely a few liters remain in the tank to apply the cleaning treatment. The technical logic is simple: to maximize the concentration of cleaning agents. Upon pouring the additive into barely 5 or 6 liters of gasoline, you are creating an ultra-potent cleaning solution. It is a shock therapy for the injectors. During this period of low level, the car must be driven in a controlled environment, avoiding sharp curves that could make the fuel pump suck air. The Japanese perform this process at idling or in very short and flat journeys. This method forces the fuel pump to work with a slightly different pressure, which often helps to mobilize sediments that stay stagnant at the bottom of the tank. Once that concentrated cocktail is consumed, it is imperative to fill the tank with maximum quality gasoline to rinse all the system. It is a technique of calculated risk that separates the amateurs from the masters. But if you want to avoid that dirt from appearing again, the secret is not only in how you clean but in what it is that you are actually burning, as we will see in position 16. Number 16. Use of fuels with synthetic tracers. In the global market of fuels, not all premium gasolines are equal. The number 16 centers on the strategic choice of fuels that contain synthetic tracers and detergents of high stability, a very strict standard in the gas stations of Japan. A synthetic tracer is a molecule that not only helps to identify the quality of the fuel, but acts as a lubricating agent for the moving parts of the injector, such as the needle and the solenoid. The Japanese method dictates that, after a deep cleaning, one must perform a sealing cycle using exclusively fuel with high nitrogen content. Nitrogen is a natural detergent that prevents the subproducts of the combustion from adhering to the metallic walls. It is like applying a layer of Teflon to your injectors from the inside. Many drivers commit the error of returning to cheap gasoline as soon as they finish the cleaning treatment, which provokes a rebound effect. The pores of the metal, now clean and open, absorb the new dirt with greater rapidity. Maintaining a constant cycle of high-quality fuel during at least 1,000 kilometers after the cleaning ensures that the internal surfaces polish themselves microscopically thanks to the additives of the fuel. It is the difference between cleaning a window and applying a rain-repellent treatment to it. In Japan, the quality of the fuel is a matter of national honor, and understanding how these chemical traces interact with your engine is the key so that you do not have to clean your injectors again in years. But if you believe that chemistry is the only solution, wait to see how a simple magnet can change the rules of the game in position 15. Number 15. The neodymium magnet trick on the fuel line. We reach a method that seems like science fiction, but that has a solid physical base in the Japanese preventive maintenance. The number 15 is the strategic installation of high-power neodymium magnets in the fuel line, before this reaches the injectors rail. Although gasoline is not magnetic, the microscopic wear sediments of the gas station tanks and of the fuel pumps themselves usually do have ferrous metallic traces. These microparticles are the ones that act like sandpaper inside the injectors, eroding the nozzle and destroying the spray pattern. Upon placing a potent neodymium magnet around the fuel pipe, you create a magnetic trap that captures these particles before they reach the delicate needle of the injector. It is a molecular filter that does not clog and that does not require maintenance other than an occasional external cleaning. In the high-performance workshops of Osaka, it is common to see these magnets protected with rubber sleeves on the supply lines. The Japanese theory goes beyond filtration. It is believed that the magnetic field also helps to align the hydrocarbon chains, allowing a slightly more efficient combustion, although this last is cause for debate. What is not debatable is that upon removing the magnet after 6 months, you will see a thin layer of dark mud trapped on the internal wall of the tube. It is dirt that never reached your injectors. It is the invisible protection that maintains the health of the engine. But the injector does not work alone. It depends on the air that enters, and position 14 will teach us how the airflow is the best ally of the cleaning. Number 14. Intake butterfly cleaning for laminar flow. The number 14 is a reminder that the engine is a holistic system. Many drivers obsess with the fuel, but forget that the air is the vehicle that transports the mixture. A dirty intake butterfly or one with carbon deposits creates turbulences. Instead of a smooth and predictable airflow, laminar flow, the air enters the cylinder in a chaotic form, turbulent flow. How does this affect your injectors? When the airflow is turbulent, the atomization of the fuel is not uniform. The air collides with the gasoline drops, making these group together and form larger drops that do not burn well, leaving carbon residues right at the tip of the injector. It is a vicious circle. The dirty air dirties the injector, and the dirty injector worsens the combustion. The Japanese method of cleaning the butterfly does not use generic sprays. It uses a microfiber cloth moistened in specific solvent to clean manually the edges where the butterfly closes. By restoring the laminar flow, we allow the air to pass at a constant velocity and embrace the fuel pulverized by the injector. This constant air current acts like a giant hairdryer that maintains the injector nozzle free of fuel condensations. It is an indirect but vital cleaning. The Japanese masters say that a clean air is the soap of the injector. If the air enters well, the injector suffers less. But if you want a deep cleaning from inside out, nothing surpasses the power of steam, as we will see in position 13. Number 13. Decarbonization by distilled water vapor. This is a trick of the old guard of the Mitsubishi and Honda engineers that today seems forgotten, but that continues being extremely effective. The number 13 is the decarbonization by induced vapor. It consists in introducing a millimetric and controlled quantity of distilled water through the vacuum system of the engine while this is running and at operating temperature. When the distilled water enters the hot combustion chamber, it converts itself instantly into overheated vapor. This vapor acts like a microscopic and soft sandblast that detaches the carbon deposits from the tips of the injectors, from the valves and from the piston head. It is what the mechanics call a cleaning thermal shock. The most important is that the water must be distilled to avoid lime deposits, and the process must be extremely slow to avoid a hydraulic lock. In Japan, this technique is performed using a medical intravenous line connected to a vacuum tube. It is adjusted so that one drop falls every few seconds. The result is amazing. The vapor cleans the areas where the chemicals sometimes do not reach. You will see how a grayish smoke comes out through the exhaust. It is the life of your engine returning to its original state. It is a deep cleaning, ecological and almost free that leaves the combustion chambers shining. But if you do not have time for the vapor, the method of the prolonged idle of position 12 is your best option for the passive cleaning. Number 12, the prolonged idle with additive method. Unlike the high-load purge on highway, the number 12 is based on patience and chemical saturation. The injectors have an internal architecture full of nooks where the varnish hides. The prolonged idle method consists in adding the PEA additive, which we saw in position 19, and letting the engine work at idle during periods of 30 minutes interspersed. Why at idle? At low revolutions, the opening time of the injector is short, but the frequency is constant and the pressure in the rail is stable. This allows the chemical to bathe the internal parts of the injector without them being expelled violently. It is a process of softening by immersion. In Japan, the drivers who cannot go out to the highway use this method during 2 or 3 days in a row, starting the car in the morning and letting it work while they prepare for the day. It is a soft but deep cleaning. Imagine that it is like leaving the dishes soaking before scrubbing them. The components of the injector absorb the detergent, undoing the gums and varnishes that cause the needle to stick. It is ideal for cars that have been stopped a long time or that are only used in urban journeys. Constancy surpasses force in this case. But before giving phase 1 as finished, we must ensure that the injector is healthy electrically, and for that we need the definitive tool of position 11. Number 11, impedance verification with multimeter. We reach the end of phase 1 with the most important diagnostic method of the Japanese protocol. The number 11 is not a physical cleaning, but a verification of electrical health. It serves for nothing to have a clean injector if the internal coil is damaged. The injector is a solenoid, an electromagnet that opens and closes a needle thousands of times per minute. With time, the heat degrades the insulating varnish of the internal copper, changing its electrical resistance, impedance. Utilizing a multimeter in the scale of ohms, the Japanese mechanics measure each injector in cold and in hot. All the injectors of the same engine must have almost identical values, habitually between 12 and 16 ohms, depending on the model. If one varies more than 10%, that injector is the weak link that is causing ignition failures that no cleaner will be able to solve. This verification is what separates an informed driver from one who spends money blindly. If the impedance is correct, then we know that any failure is because of dirt and we can continue with our methods. If not, we know that it is time to replace. It is the Nipponese pragmatism in its maximum expression, data before suppositions. If these external and preventive methods have seemed revealing to you, prepare yourself for what comes now. We have cleaned the system without dismantling anything, but now we are going to enter the territory of the surgery without a scalpel. Now you will discover how to construct your own pulse cleaning machine with materials that you have at home, how to perform a reverse cleaning to get the dirt out through where it entered, and the Japanese secret of the homemade ultrasonic bath that the dealerships will hate that you know. The engine is awake, but now we are going to make it shine like never. Are you ready for the next level of perfection? Number 10, direct pressure cleaning with fuel rail. The number 10 represents the jump from the preventive phase to the operative phase. When the additives in the tank are not sufficient because the obstruction is severe, the Japanese technicians use the technique of local anesthesia, the direct pressure cleaning. This method consists in disconnecting the fuel supply that comes from the tank and connecting an external source of pressure directly to the injector's rail. To perform this with Nipponese precision, a pressurized container loaded with a pure mixture of cleaning solvents and high-octane fuel is used. By doing this, the engine functions exclusively with the cleaning product. What is the technical advantage? We are eliminating the dilution. Instead of having 1% of cleaner in 60 liters of gasoline, we have 100% of active agent hitting the valve of the injector. The process requires deactivating the fuel pump of the car, removing the corresponding fuse to avoid the gasoline from the tank from spilling. Once the equipment is connected, the engine is started and is left to consume all the pressurized mixture. During these 15 or 20 minutes, the engine experiences an intensive cleaning where each pulse of the injector is a discharge of pure solvent. It is a surgical intervention that dissolves the most resistant varnishes in record time. Upon finishing, the system is reconnected and the engine returns to its factory configuration, but with the arteries completely cleared. It is the most effective form to reset the physical state of the injection without removing a single screw from the block. Number 9, the manual reverse pulsation method. Sometimes the dirt is not just stuck, but trapped. The number 9 is a reverse engineering technique that challenges conventional logic. the reverse pulsation. The majority of people try to push the dirt through the injector, but the exit orifices are so microscopic that the largest particles stay stuck like a cork stopper. In Japan, it is known that if something entered through one side and cannot exit, it must return through where it came. This method requires dismantling the injector, one of the few times that we will do it, but with a noble purpose. Utilizing a special adapter and a bottle of contact or carburetor cleaner, we apply pressure from the nozzle toward the entrance. While we apply this reverse pressure, we activate the injector manually utilizing a 9-volt battery or a pulse generator. Upon the valve opening in the contrary sense, the solvent pushes the sediments, microfilter fragments and rust remains toward the outside of the injector body. It is amazing to see the quantity of solid residues that exit through the upper part, residues that never would have passed through the tip. This technique is the definitive cure for injectors that seem dead but that simply are choked. It is an exercise of patience and delicacy that returns the original flow to 100%, demonstrating that sometimes, to advance, one must know how to retreat. Number 8. Cleaning the basket microfilters. Inside each injector exists a forgotten hero: the basket microfilter. The number 8 focuses on this component that almost no one mentions. It is a small stainless steel mesh situated at the entrance of the injector. Its function is to stop any particle that has managed to bypass the main fuel filter. The problem is that, with the years, this microfilter becomes saturated, restricting the fuel flow even if the injector is clean inside. The Japanese technique does not consist in simply cleaning this mesh, but in extracting it and replacing it, or, in its defect, performing a cleaning by cavitation. To extract it, a fine thread screw is used which is inserted smoothly into the basket to pull it toward the outside. Once out, one can observe under a magnifying glass how the sediments have created an almost impermeable wall. If you do not have replacements, the cleaning is performed by submerging the basket in hot solvent and applying compressed air in the contrary sense. It is a work of micromechanics. Many diagnoses of defective injector are in reality simply clogged microfilters. Upon restoring this first line of defense, the injector recovers its nominal working pressure and the spray returns to be a perfect mist. It is the detail that marks the difference between an engine that functions and one that flies. Number 7. The hot solvent trick. In chemistry, heat is a catalyst for solvency. The number 7 is a secret of the masters of Kyoto, heating the cleaning agent before introducing it into the system. The varnishes and resins that clog the injectors are long-chain polymers that become much more soluble when the temperature of the solvent is raised. This method consists in heating the PEA additive or the cleaning solvent in a water bath, never with a direct flame for safety, up to some 40 or 50 degrees centigrade before performing the direct pressure cleaning. Upon being hot, the liquid has a lower surface tension, which allows it to penetrate the microscopic fissures of the dirt with much more ease. When this hot solvent hits the tip of the injector, the dissolution of the carbon is almost instantaneous. It is the difference between washing a plate with grease using cold water or hot water. The results are so drastic that even injectors with years of negligence can recover their spray pattern in minutes. However, it requires precision. If the solvent is too hot, you could damage the internal coils. The right measure is the key to mastery. Number 6. Use of oxygen sensors to calibrate cleaning. The cleaning does not end when you turn off the engine, it ends when the combustion is perfect. The number 6 utilizes the own technology of the car to verify the success of the process. The oxygen sensors, lambda probes, are the eyes of the engine. During and after the cleaning, a Japanese technician monitors the short-term fuel trims through an OBD2 scanner. If the injectors were dirty, the engine computer, ECU, probably was compensating for the lack of flow, adding more opening time. Upon cleaning the injectors, the flow increases and suddenly, the mixture becomes rich. Observing how the values of the sensors go down towards 0 is the scientific confirmation that the injector now delivers what it should. If after the cleaning the values continue being erratic, it means that there is a sealing problem or an electrical failure. We do not use intuition, we use the data. This method allows you to know exactly when to stop cleaning. It is the use of feedback in real time to reach technical perfection. It is, in essence, letting the car tell you, "Thank you, now I can breathe." Number 5. The homemade ultrasound bath without total disassembly. The number 5 is an ingenious adaptation of an industrial technology to the domestic garage. The ultrasounds clean through cavitation, millions of microscopic bubbles that implode and rip away the dirt. In Japan, to avoid the total disassembly of the complex fuel rails, portable ultrasound transducers are used that are coupled directly to the injector's rail while this is full of solvent. The high-frequency vibrations travel through the metal and the liquid, reaching the interior of the injector without the need to extract it. It is a molecular vibration that loosens even the carbonized deposits in the combustion chamber. Upon combining this vibration with the electronic opening of the injectors, using a pulsar, the cleaning is total. This method is the maximum expression of the surgery without a scalpel. You achieve the same effect as a professional machine of thousands of dollars, but maintaining the integrity of the original connections. It is a dance of pure physics where the sound converts into the most potent cleaning agent that exists. Once the molecules of dirt have detached through the vibration, they are expelled in the next start of the engine. The true magic of ultrasound is not visual, it is auditory and molecular. In the context of the Japanese method, we do not limit ourselves to submerging the piece. The secret resides in the scanning frequency. While the cheap machines operate at a fixed frequency, the Nipponese masters know that different types of dirt require different wavelengths. By applying external transducers to the fuel rail, we are sending waves that travel through the metal of the injector at a velocity of 5,000 meters per second. These waves create zones of high and low pressure inside the body of the injector, which generates microbubbles of vacuum. When these bubbles implode against the hardened varnish, they release a localized thermal energy that disintegrates the dirt without affecting the metal. It is a cleaning at an atomic level. If you accompany this process with a pulse generator that maintains the needle of the injector in movement, you allow the shock waves to clean even the valve seat where the residue that causes the fuel dripping accumulates. Upon finishing the cycle of 20 minutes, the solvent that before was transparent will exit dark, signal that the ultrasounds have shaken the entrails of the engine. It is a technique of minimum invasion and maximum impact, the gold standard of surgery without a scalpel. Number 4. Replacement of Viton O-rings. We reach a critical maintenance point. The number 4 deals with safety and pressure. The O-rings are those in charge of the fuel not escaping and of unmeasured air not entering the cylinder. With heat, conventional rubber becomes brittle and fails. In Japan, the gold standard is Viton, a fluoroelastomer that resists high temperatures and aggressive chemicals. Even if you do not dismantle the injector completely, inspecting and lubricating these seals with silicone grease is vital. A dry seal can cause an air intake, making the engine fail at idle although the injector is impeccable inside. The Japanese precision dictates that if an injector is touched, its seals are changed. Utilizing Viton ensures that the system maintains the operating pressure, which can be of several atmospheres, without minimum leaks that could cause fires or loss of performance. It is the cheapest component, but its failure is the most costly. Maintaining these seals in an eternal state is the secret of the long-term reliability of brands such as Lexus or Infiniti. Many drivers ignore that a clean injector can be the cause of an engine that fails if its external seals have expired. In Japan, the substitution for Viton seals is not an option. It is a national safety protocol for the engine. Viton, a high-end fluoroelastomer, possesses a chemical resistance that common nitrile rubber simply cannot equal. The original seals usually harden due to the extreme heat cycles, converting into rigid plastic that allows the entry of parasitic air. This unmeasured air by the mass airflow sensor, MAF, unbalances the stoichiometric mixture, making the cylinder work hotter than normal, which eventually recarbonizes the tip of the injector. It is a cycle of self-destruction. By installing new Viton seals, lubricated with a microscopic layer of dielectric silicone grease, we guarantee a hermetic sealing that maintains the rail pressure constant. This pressure is the one that ensures that the injector does not spit large drops, but atomizes the fuel into a fine mist. It is the difference between an engine that struggles to turn and one that feels smooth as silk. Number 3, the unlock rev technique. The number 3 is a pressure control maneuver. When we finish an intensive chemical cleaning, sometimes remains of solvent and softened varnish stay that can glue the needle of the injector upon cooling. To avoid this, the unlock rev is performed immediately after the treatment. It consists in bringing the engine in neutral to a high revolution regime, approximately 5,000 turns, in very short bursts of 1 second. This violent fluctuation of the pressure in the rail and the opening velocity of the solenoid act like a mechanical hammer that seats the needle in its place and expels any remaining residue. It is not mistreating the car, it is a final mechanical purge. The Japanese engineers know that inertia is a tool. By closing and opening the injector at its maximum design velocity, we ensure that the travel of the needle is complete and free. It is the last breath of the cleaning before passing to the electronic part. The physics behind the unlock rev is based on the inertia of the solenoid. After applying potent chemical solvents, the internal surfaces of the injector remain naked. If the engine is turned off and is left to cool immediately, the remains of solvent can evaporate and leave a sticky film that blocks the needle in its closing position. The Japanese technique avoids this through high-pressure bursts. By bringing the engine to 5,000 revolutions per second in neutral, the solenoid of the injector is activated and deactivated hundreds of times, mechanically hitting the seat of the valve. This controlled hammering serves to seat perfectly the needle and expel any microparticle that has stayed trapped in the exit orifices. In Japan, this method is known as the awakening of the warrior. It is the moment in which the injection system shakes off the laziness of the chemical treatment and recovers its operative agility. It is vital that this process is performed with the engine already at service temperature to ensure that the oil is flowing correctly and protects the internal components of the engine during these bursts of power. The sound of the exhaust will change from a dull tone to a clean and crystalline roar, signal that the unlocking has been successful. Number 2. ECU calibration after cleaning. You have cleaned the hardware, now you must update the software. The number 2 is the calibration of the engine control unit, ECU. As we mentioned before, your car learned to work with dirty injectors. If you do not erase that learning, the car will continue injecting fuel as if they were still clogged, which will provoke an excessive consumption and an erratic march. In Japanese cars, this is done often through an idle relearn or a reset of the adaptation values. You can do it through a scanner, or in many models disconnecting the battery during 30 minutes and then leaving the car at idle without electrical consumers, lights, radio or air conditioning turned off, during 10 minutes. During this time, the ECU listens to the engine, adjusts the injection times to the new reality of cleanliness and establishes a new efficiency map. It is as if the engine woke up from a nightmare and realized that now it can run with less effort. Without this step, the cleaning is at half. It is the final harmonization between the mind and the body of the machine. The engine control unit, ECU, is a learning organism. During months or years, it has been monitoring the oxygen sensors and detecting that the mixture was lean due to the clogged injectors. To compensate for it, the ECU has modified its fuel adjustment tables, fuel trims, ordering that the injectors remain open more time than designed. If you clean the injectors and do not restart this learning, the ECU will continue injecting fuel in excess, wasting gasoline and being able to damage the catalytic converter. The calibration process is the necessary clean slate. By performing the reset, be it by scanner or physical disconnection, we force the processor of the car to enter into open-loop logic mode. The car starts to read the sensors as if it were the first time that it leaves the factory. You will notice that during the first 10 minutes of idle, the car can oscillate slightly in revolutions. Do not be scared, it is the artificial intelligence of the engine mapping again the efficiency of your now clean injectors. At the end of the process, the car will find a new equilibrium point, much lower and more efficient than the previous one. You have updated the brain so that it is at the level of the new heart. Number 1. The Kinsugi protection ritual for the fuel system. We reach the summit of our technical mountain. The number 1 is more than a method, it is a philosophy of long-term protection that I call the Kinsugi ritual. In Japanese art, Kinsugi is repairing what is broken with gold, making the piece stronger and more beautiful than the original. Applied to your injectors, it means creating a permanent chemical barrier against the dirt. This ritual consists in the systematic use of nanotechnology fuel conditioners that create a hydrophobic film in the interior of the system. Once your injectors are clean, this product seals the pores of the metal, avoiding the varnishes from having where to grab onto. It is a molecular shielding. In addition, the ritual includes the discipline of never allowing the tank to go down from the quarter of capacity to avoid the suction of sediments and condensation. It is a commitment with purity. Who practices the Kinsugi ritual does not have dirty injectors ever again. Has transformed a weakness of the system into an eternal strength. It is the final victory of prevention over repair. This method transcends mechanics and enters the terrain of elite prevention. The Kinsugi ritual is based on the idea that repair must make the object stronger than before. In an injection system, this is achieved through the application of nanotechnology metallic conditioners. These products contain molecules that adhere to the internal walls of the injector by ionic attraction, filling the microfissures caused by the erosion of low-quality fuel. By sealing these imperfections, you create a surface so smooth that the varnish and the carbon simply have nowhere to anchor themselves. It is like applying a layer of liquid diamond to the arteries of your car. In Japan, this ritual includes the discipline of refueling always before the indicator reaches the last quarter, avoiding that water condensation and heavy sediments of the tank enter the high-pressure system. The driver who follows the Kinsugi ritual understands that maintenance is not something that is done once, but that it is a state of consciousness. At the end of the day, this method guarantees that your injectors maintain a perfect spray pattern for the rest of the useful life of the vehicle. It is the mechanical immortality reached through discipline and science. After traveling through these 20 methods, from thermal physics to medical-grade chemistry and electronic calibration, the result is inevitable. An engine that breathes with the smoothness of silk and responds with the force of steel. You have saved hundreds of dollars, but the most important is that you have acquired the knowledge. The reward is not only the fuel saving or the recovered power. It is the satisfaction of the job well done. While the Western speed looks for magical solutions in $5 bottles, the Japanese patience finds perfection in the detail and the discipline. Your car is no longer just a machine, it is a testimony of your care and precision. You have completed phase 2. Now, the way is clear. Enjoy the silence of your engine, because that whisper is the sound of the regained purity.